I think it's a great chance for builders and designers and us as product developers to seduce our customers. When we started Vanhawks, I fought my co-founders 3 years ago on why we want to name the company Vanhawks. And Van is origin for Dutch, and Hawks came from the philosophy of elegance, low energy usage, and moving somebody from A to B in the most efficient manner. So we said if we can move people from A to B in the most efficient manner, the origin becomes that. So we joined Vanhawks together and we started the company. So the Valour, which is the bike today, like Lance said, it's a complex product from ideation, industrial design, supply chain, operations, back-end data architecture, sensors that we have put into it. If we look at it, it's a product. But to us, it's more than a product. It's a philosophy and a behavior change. And how can we empower people to get on the bikes and see it a better, viable mode of transportation in congested urban centers. So you might have heard about business plans and strategies and how do we make supply chains and how everything is done, the conversion rate and the churn rate, and if we subtract them, the difference is the growth of the company. I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with all that jargon, but today I want to talk more on the human level, on how we develop the product. More than that, how my passion as one person to a team of 4 co-founders, and today we're 19 people in the team, and how I translate it over to everybody else in my team. So when I originally, and now the whole team, started to design a product, we looked at it as if we are going to use it and pay for it, and will it make a great first impression? Because we launched our product online. It did not exist. It was a prototype, and we couldn't even ride it back in the days. When we were shooting the video, the videographer asked me to get on the bike and ride it, and I said, I can't ride this bike because it's going to break. So we said, how can we make it a beautiful looking bike that it puts good first impression on the user, because people are going to be buying it on web and not physically, and we're launching it on Kickstarter. So think of it as your first date. The very first time you're going to put your product out, think of it as when you go on a first date. You want to make the best impression. You're not going to sit on the table and poke your nose and get the boogers out, because that's just going to ruin everything for you. And your long-term customers, when you design a product, treat it as a good marriage. Your customers will give you a good leeway. Things go wrong with your product by all means, but it's not that if it goes wrong, your customer is going to just toss you out. It's like that good marriage where you're sitting in your living room in your boxers, and your wife walks in. She's not going to pull the divorce papers out. She's going to say, you know what, he has a good heart. And that's pretty much it. So treat your product like that. Good first impression on the customer and a long-lasting marriage, how your product is going to last for the lifetime of it. When we were at YC, it's an incubator out of San Francisco, one thing which was ingrained again and again into us was make products that people love. It's a very easy statement to say, make things people love. But how do you really make statements that people love? I think it's a great chance for builders and designers and us as product developers to seduce our customers with beautiful looking products, but more than that, amazingly functional products. And the simple we make, the better it is. We talk about feature lists versus user experience every single day. And in our company, we say, do we make decisions based completely on business plans and spreadsheets versus do we make decisions based on customer experience? And the scale always tips towards the customer experience. If we make amazing customer experience and beautiful looking products, we don't have to worry about the business plans. We can write all the amazing business plans and do all the number crunching that we can. But if we make a bad product, no one's going to buy it. We're never going to move it from the shelves. So the focus should always be on the consumer. Understand what the habits are and how you are going to change the habits. So that's more on the philosophy side and how we make decisions every day. We built a hardware product. So hardware is very different than just making a software product. We could have just made an app or an accessory which can go on every single bike. But we took the longer route, the harder route, and we have operations, consumer-facing, customer service. It's a consumer-facing product. The beauty is that if we nail everything, it's very hard to replicate. One. Two, we're not going to be a thing on any other bike. We want to build a brand with our customers. So no matter what we do or what you will do or whatever product you make sure that it ingrains with your customer. It could be something as small as, I use a MacBook Pro because I love the trackpad. The glass trackpad is just amazing. I can use a Windows laptop, but none of the Windows laptop out there has as amazing of a trackpad as my MacBook. So it could be just one feature that your consumer can just fall in love with, understand what is it that they want, and work on it and move forward with that. So when we started to design our bike initially, we said that we're going to do everything in-house and we're going to make the bike, and it was super hard. And very soon we realized that it's a monumental task and we need partners and we need people to do it. So outsourcing was one of the best things that we did, but it's not easy. It's one of the hardest things that you will do. It's not that you just outsource something and magically it's going to be made and be shipped back to your office. I think when you go out to China or Asia to make something in the hardware side, more than DFM or design for manufacturing or industrial engineering or electronics or hardware side, we need to understand the cultural side more. And I think a lot of people just completely fail to understand that side. So when we went down, we understood how the culture works and how can we make them come on our side. We as a small company with a very small order, no one will give a about, to be honest with you, pardon my language here, but really nobody cares. So the only way we can work with them is if we can bring them on our side and really understand the culture. Even though we still ran into a lot of problems, a lot of troubles. We designed beautiful products, but then early days we failed to understand that the beauty of the product not always translates into manufacturing side, and manufacturers can not always make it for you. And we learned, oh, there's something called design for manufacturing, and we got to go back and learn that now. So I come from medicine side, so I had no understanding of that when I designed the product first. And two of my co-founders were digital design and computer scientists. And then later, the people we got on board are hardware people, but we never worked in such a bigger scope. So understand that part completely, that what we design here in our studios might not always translate into real life products. Lastly, what I want to talk about is behavior change. No matter what we make, it will either change a behavior or set a brand new platform or trend. And I remember the very first time when iPhone came out, I don't think Steve Jobs went on stage and said, hey, we've made a beautiful looking iPhone, and by the way, we will see Twitter and we will see Uber and we will see Snapchat coming down the road, which are going to be billion-dollar companies. Nobody knew about that. It was just a great looking phone. Turned out it is also a great platform, and now we have huge billion-dollar companies. So if you are just consumer-focused product, that's great, focus on that, but sometimes you might not know what else exists out there for you. So always keep your focus straight, but mind open. We talk about two things, flexibility and rigidity. You got to be flexible for a change, but you got to be very rigid on your vision, what you believe in, and how you want to proceed. But you got to be flexible enough to do change, to adopt. Otherwise, you will be another BlackBerry story. So time is something that we struggled early days because we were very hung into just complete design, and DFM was a problem. And we were operating in a way of complete one, then give it to the next person, then give it to the next person, and then give it to the next person, like a train stopping at every single station. So our firmware engineers could not work on the hardware till the hardware guy is done with it. So there was a huge disconnect between them. So now how we work is our firmware engineers and hardware engineers, they work together. Our ID team works together. Before we said that here's a design, engineers go ahead and put stuff inside. We don't care how you do it. It's up to you. We're not going to change the design at all. So now engineers understand the design really well today, and the new product that we're working on, the team sits down together, understands the timelines, because so far we've been on a roller coaster that we have to fulfill Kickstarter, and we're running against a timeline, and we have to meet it, we have to meet it, we have to meet it, and then we go back in the same circle, we miss it, and then we don't really plan initially. So now we sit down, we plan, we have learned a lot over time in terms of what can go wrong and build a buffer time into it. So the hardware team works on the side, the software team keeps building, and the firmware is what bridges both of them together. So both of the hardware software teams now work in tandem. It's not that go make your stuff, and once you're done, we will hand it over to the next person. So we made a very exhaustive handover and support chart in our company now, at what point different teams are handover teams and what points different teams are support teams. What we call the handover point is, let's say the product is now completely in the firmware's hand. Every other team now becomes a support team to make sure that the timeline is met and everything is moving smoothly. Once it goes into the manufacturer's hand, operations is the handover. So when they hand it over to the next team, everybody else is now a support role. So we're not operating in a station-by-station manner anymore. We're working more on everybody is involved all the time now. So that's how we deal with that. It's also more of a learning practice. It's not something that you can just learn from a book and say, oh, I've learned operation and I've learned product development, it's great. It's a practice thing. It's the more you know about it, the more things you uncover, and the more things you uncover, the better you get at it. And I think the only way to learn it is just do it.